Mick Cronin's pick six in the transfer portal has gotten UCLA some looks potentially at a preseason top 10.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for your support. And hey, the Bruins, they have done some work in the portal this offseason. Mick Cronin last season had 7 incoming freshmen and a transfer with Lazar Stefanovic, has completely revamped this roster to have a much older flavor when it comes to a grad transfer, a few seniors, rising juniors. This is an older roster with a lot of playing experience as opposed to the year prior. Mick Cronin, now with the official commits of Dominick Harris out of LMU. Bro Report's been talking about this guy being a quiet commit until it was no longer quiet. He announced it. He's an official Bruin, not officially signed, but he is all intents and purposes heading to Westwood to play in Pauley Pavilion this year. Gives UCLA something they desperately lacked in the previous season, 3-point shooting specifically. After the graduation of David Singleton, the Bruins did not have anybody who overall could shoot the three. I know Tiger could shoot it a little bit. Jaime could, even Amari Bailey at times. And, of course, Singleton's three-point shooting ability. You lose all those guys from a team that made the Sweet 16. And last year's team, minus a hot shooting stretch down the last couple of games, would have been the worst three-point shooting team in UCLA's long, illustrious history. They were at times atrocious shooting the basketball. This is what Harris brings to this team. An underrated guy who initially started his career at Gonzaga, goes to LMU for a season, jumps up and makes some noise with his stats for now the redshirt senior from Murrieta, wanted to stay in SoCal, and ends up averaging 14 points per game, shooting 45%, just about that from three, 43% from the floor, and a 78% free throw shooter. So a guy who can score, simply a guy that is meant for this UCLA roster, and complete overhaul, and is the piece the Bruins need to shoot the basketball. He's someone that is a 2-year late replacement. You mix the season in between and then the next season, where he is a much later replacement for Singleton than Cronin would have liked after this last season's debacle when it came to shooting the three. But it's not like Harris himself is a complete changing of the guard. It's 6 separate players who have made UCLA's transfer class top tier in the country, and a complete reversal from the international recruiting, complete reversal from the freshman exclusive recruiting, it seemed like, because the Bruins needed to overhaul a very senior, veteran-laden roster from the year prior that won the Pac-12 in 22 to 23. Now UCLA heading to the Big Ten is a team that could certainly compete for a conference championship, a team that can compete for top 15, top 10 rankings, and certainly compete to be a national championship contender. You bring in scoring from the low post. You got Bilodeau. You've got the likes of Sky Clark. You got Kobe Johnson, who can score 10 points per game, a leader and elite defender at the Pac-12 ranks, and that will certainly translate into Big Ten play. After the Bruins, I'm not sure truly had a good guard defender last year. Johnson brings that in. You bring in Eric Daly Jr., and then you have the likes of William Kyle III. You beef up the post to replace Adem Bona, and you've got a multitude of options with what already is an overloaded roster with guys coming back, still with the Sebastian Max, the expected point guard starter in Dylan Andrews. Don't forget the unquestioned leader that was Stefanovic, playing 40 minutes a game, who will now be fighting to get 15 to 20 to start the year. And then all of a sudden, where do the Bruins go with Brandon and Devin Williams, Bedeke and Adai? You look at the scholarship options, and they're full even before Dominick Harris commits. Who's going? Is there a surprising departure in the backcourt? I look at Sebastian Mack. I don't think that's the case. Or is it more likely that someone in the front court, namely Adai, B. Will, Devin Williams, or Bedeke is one of those guys to leave. Namely, you might put your money on Butengel or Brandon Williams, one of those guys that could be aced out with a lot of 6'8", 6'9", 6'10 guys coming in. Bilodeau, a scorer. Kyle and Daly Jr., a lot of those guys bigger, longer, leaner than potential guys UCLA has coming back currently with already experience in either power conference play or put up big numbers leading his team into the tournament like William Kyle III did down at South Dakota State. So Mick Cronin not only is going to have guys so talented replacing the guys that are departing, so talented that his current players are going to have to fight, scrap, and claw for playing time, starters, or might be reserves. Everything in between. And who's that next guy? Dark Horse says it could be Sebastian Mack. I'm not saying it's a source. I mean, Dark Horse, you see a lot of guard play. Sky Clark's interesting. When you bring in Harris and you have Mack and Andrews, it means you have a lot of depth. Or you wait and see how the front court plays out with so many guys. It's probably coming from the overloaded part of the roster. Devin Williams didn't get a lot of playing time. Brandon Williams, is he just going to get aced out of a spot? Is it Bedeke? Adai was recently in a video with Lazar Stefanovic celebrating the Bruins on Bruin Walk, or Bruin Day, right? You wonder, those guys in the social media video probably aren't the ones that are going to leave and be disappointed with what they are. They're excited to see the guys come in and be a part of a winning UCLA culture. So, namely, you might think Devin Williams, Brandon Williams, or Bedeke, the three guys that weren't in the recent UCLA men's basketball video, are somewhat contemplating, deciding, or being told their future plans by advisors, families, friends, or namely, most importantly, Mick Cronin saying, hey, I am going to be ruthless, Mick Cronin, right? That's probably his mindset, being ruthless, where a losing season is not acceptable in his mind. So he went out to the portal to fix it all. You fix the lack of athleticism across the board when it came to defending. You fix the scoring and the shooting options at various positions, upgraded positions that were weak last year, add depth overall to the roster, shooting, rebounding, and replacing guys who have left, like Adembona, who declared for the NBA draft. And the Bruins have said, sorry, we will miss you, we love you if they left in the portal or going to the draft. But Mick Cronin said, next man up. 6 separate times via the portal. Ruthless behavior by the man cooking, Chef Mick Cronin, in this portal. This is not going to be a losing roster. I think this is a team who, in the way too early top 25 by ESPN, ranked at number 15. You add in Harris, who probably wasn't even though guys probably know writing these articles, he's not official, so you can't really put that into the article. The UCLA certainly has to be amongst the top 10 in talent and ability and projection for next year, next March, and hopefully next April for a team that can make a deep NCAA tournament run. Now, this is a lot of gelling that has to happen, just like the previous year, although this is an experienced roster with a lot of playing time, and you wonder who's going to be the most unhappy with the lack of playing time. Is it returners? Guys who thought they might jump from freshman to sophomore year, or vice versa? Is it guys who are coming in that might not get the roles as expected by jumping to UCLA? Or is it Mick Cronin who's going to say, shut up, you're going to play your role, and we're going to be very good this year? And we know he's very capable of making guys do that. So you bring in Dominick Harris, a guy who can shoot elite numbers from three for a team that shot atrociously from downtown. Harris has 2 years left of eligibility. If you're confused as to why he has that, let's talk about Dominick Harris really quickly. 6'3", 190-pound guard, started at Gonzaga. His career, most importantly, started in 2020 to 21. He played a few games. It did not matter. That is what has been known as the COVID year. If you played in 2020 to 2021, that year does not count against your eligibility. So it does not count. Imagine he played a year of college basketball that is not on the record books other than for stats. Then his second year, he got hurt. He did not play. So imagine having 2 straight redshirt years. So his unofficial true freshman year was his third and final year at Gonzaga in 22 to 23, namely being on the bench for a team that heartbreakingly killed UCLA's national championship chances in 23. Then he transferred to LMU, stayed in-house, went to the West Coast, went to California and LMU, and played 1 year there, was one of the leading scorers, shot the ball really well, and found himself leaping to the portal to go back up where UCLA said, we'll have a home for you. So he's only played 2 years officially on records, if that makes sense. COVID year and a red shirt. Those aren't the same things. So he is the last generation of a COVID athlete, a freshman who started in 20 to 21, using a red shirt after that, and then playing out all 4 years, which means he would be in college 6 years. That is why he has 2 years of eligibility. Do not question that. That is what he has left. If he decides to stay the 2 extra years, this upcoming season, 24-25, and then 25-26, he'd be very old for college basketball standards, but UCLA would appreciate that because he can shoot and score with the best of them. But even if he's only 1 year stopgap like a Kobe Johnson is, then UCLA they need this guy. And that's what the portal fills. 1 year stopgaps, guys with eligibility who can stay, and just simple ways UCLA can completely overhaul the roster, just like how Mick Cronin has done. With Harris being the latest in the picture, leaving us the biggest question. Remember, this is the team that now has 6 incoming transfers, a freshman signing in Eric Freeney, so that's 7. Not sure if it's a priority walk-on, but a walk-on with a big name, Christian Ori, that's Big Shot Bob, Big Shot Rob, Robert Ory's son, who's not under scholarship, but he's walking on and would love to compete for a spot. And that means there's one scholarship spot open. Who's it going to be? I think it's from the front court. Maybe not the back court. Look at who wasn't in that UCLA men's basketball Twitter video the other day. You have Devin, Brandon Williams, and then you have Berke. Those are the 3 options. I wonder if it comes from there. Certainly it dies a big question mark as well. Sebastian Mack, with all the guard talent, is someone who could be thinking about his UCLA future coming in the next weeks, although Mick Cronin probably has plans for how the guards will play out, other than simply competition, pulling out character, driving each other to be better, and an overall cohesive roster with many options to score the basketball instead of one every other game. A team that is, I think, destined for a lot of great things. And the next question mark is one before the starting lineup. Who leaves? Who leaves? Who is that starting option? Maybe not starting option, but that scholarship option that leaves. That is the next question. Cronin has overloaded his roster. Now, where is the next spot coming from within his own roster? That we'll talk about in coming weeks. We will also talk about the spring football game. The Spring Showcase, as is officially named, in the next Locked On UCLA episode. I was there as the Rose Bowl and the 11,000+ that attended. And hey, women's basketball got big commits. The football team got another O-line commit. A lot coming up in the next Locked On UCLA episode. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championship is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 120 million plus parts for your number one ride or die, your part, well, you'll find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. Bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. I've been told I'm a competitive person. You think that's true? Sitting there at home? Maybe? No? Well, I'm certainly competitive. And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. 150. It's a great twist of Monopoly. We cannot play in one, but hundreds of different Monopoly boards in crazy locations, build amazing cities. That brings you big time money. Look at the app the other day. You're sitting there potentially with billions of dollars in your cash bucket in your bank. Think about that. Billions with the B, and you just roll. You try and steal some money up to millions, tens of millions from your friends. Easy day, you get 47 million potentially. You're rolling with the big dough and messing with your friends. You can take that from them. Big bank heist of over 40 million potentially, and also see who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. Because if you're competitive, you'll love this. A great twist on Monopoly. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play Store. All right, this is going to wrap up this shorter episode of Locked On UCLA. More news, breaking news. 6 commits for Mick Cronin and the Bruins in the transfer portal. I think they're top 10. Good. Big story next. Who is going to leave for UCLA basketball? And more love for Deshaun Foster and the Bruins in the Rose Bowl. Get your hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.